Today we'll be talking about direct proportion and how we can relate two variables that are in a table and complete that table using what we know about direct proportion. So if we're given this table and we're told that x is directly proportional to the variable y, so notice these are the two variables that we have, we can find what I like to call the magic number. And what you would need to do first is look for a pair of numbers that have both the values of x and y given to us. So I like to call these little partners because they go together. We have a pair of x and y that already go together. As you can see, we have these two x values here that do not have a matching y value. And then we also have this y value that does not have a matching x value. So what I want to look for is a pair that already goes together. And we'll use this information to find the magic number. All right, when we're working with direct proportion, if you've watched my previous video on direct proportion, you know that there are two steps here. And I like to say step 1, divide, and step 2, multiply to find how we relate those two values together. So to find this magic number, I'm going to divide 14 by 2, and that would give me 7. So what I can say is that the relationship between every value of x and every value of y in this table can be found by taking the x value and multiplying times 7. That's what directly proportional tells us, is that every single pair in this table is related the same way by finding that magic number and saying, okay, if I'm going from x to y, I need to multiply times 7 because 2 times 7 gives us 14. So now I can take the rest of the values and use that magic number to calculate the missing pieces of the table. So I'm working with this value of x here. To find that value of y that matches, I need to multiply it by 7. 4 times 7 gives me 28, so that would be our missing value here. Let's keep moving on. For the next one, if I'm looking at x is 20, I would take that value, multiply it again times my magic number 7, and come up with 140. So that fills in this y value of the table. The last piece of this question is a little bit different because now we're starting with the y value and trying to find its matching x value. Notice how I've drawn this arrow here saying that when I'm going from x to y, I multiply times 7. Let's think about what would happen if I were going in the reverse direction. Okay, if I were going in the reverse direction, we would want the opposite of multiply by 7, which would actually be divide by 7, okay? So if you're working backwards, if you're going from y to x in this situation, you would take the value, 56, and then divide by 7 to figure out what would be x. 56 divided by 7 is 8, so that would help us complete our table. All right, so now we have a completed table and we're ready to go. I have 2 more examples for you, so let's take a look at another example. All right, this tells us that the variable p is directly proportional to q, okay? So directly proportion, remember that's the key here to tell us that we're able to use that method of finding the magic number between the two paired values. So magic number, I can find between this value of p and this value of q by taking 20 and dividing it by 4, and that would give me 5. So that tells me I want to think about the order here. If I'm going from 4 to 20, I times the top value by the bottom, times 5 to find the bottom value, or times the p value by 5 to get q, which is 20. I see already that I'm going to have to go backwards eventually later on, so I can even write out here if I need to. If I'm going in the opposite direction, I would divide by 5. Okay, every piece is related in the same way. The top times 5 gives us the bottom. So I could work out 20 here. If I wanted to work out this value of q, I would take 20, multiply it by 5, because it's on the top, and that gives me the value on the bottom, which is 100. All right, next I have this number 1. I can take that, write it out. 1 times 5, again, would give me 5. So 5 is our value of q when p is 1. And then lastly, I'm going in the opposite direction again. So I'll take 75, divide by 5, and I should get my answer, which is 15 for p. Okay, remember, just keep in mind which way you're going, whether you're going from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top. That makes a difference on whether we multiply or divide. Okay, last example for you here. You might want to pause the video and try this one on your own just to see if you've understood the topic, and then unpause when you're ready to go over it with me. Okay, so first things first, we'll find our magic number. I'm going to take 30, divide by 5 to come up with 6. So I know that if I'm going from the top to the bottom, I would multiply by 6. So let's see. I'm going to start with this one here, 20, just because that's the same order as the multiplication times 6, since I'm going from the top to the bottom. So 20 times 6 is 120. That would give me this value of y here. This value of y for 6, we're going to have to go in the opposite direction. So I do the opposite of times 6, which is divide by 6. And then I would take 6 divided by 6 would give me my value of 1 for that piece in the table. All right. Hopefully this has made sense to you. In my class, continue on in the worksheet, and please do let me know if you have any questions. All right. Enjoy your day.